updates on the file system dock. So when I'm removing a folder from the editor, it's supposed to update the other one on the application, but instead of removing, is adding a folder with a dot. And I think the folder that it has is the same from the parent one, where the file or where the previous folder was removed. So I'm not really sure what is going on. I'm going to try to see if I can solve. I think what is happening is that once I remove every frame, regardless of what happens, is running the scan changes, I think, on both file system, the original one and the one that I have now. So I think that function is the one that checks to see if anything changed on the file system each frame. And I think that is because I changed the functionality for the dot files or folders. So on the original one, they skip files or folders that start with a dot, but I want to be able to see the files and folders that start with a dot, because I think it's very common when you're developing stuff that you probably want to see the files that have the dot. So I'm gonna try to figure out what is going on and try to solve or fix the problem that I have. Not sure if I'm gonna be able to do it, sorry. And last thing that I did, I haven't tested yet. Maybe it's gonna break. But I have to still, I added this functions here for the drag and drop. I don't know how it works very well, but I think that the way that it works is that these functions are defined on the control class, and then if you override them on the derived class, then you can implement the whatever you want to happen when the control node is gonna be is dragging. But I'm not really sure how it works. Let's say I think you have to implement on the both on the input function and you have to implement this stuff here. But I didn't have to compile again for the macros that it calls there. I didn't do that. So it's both this one and there's another one. So it calls from the first class, just files, and then it sends this callback here. Get drag. Maybe there is something on the input. Maybe not. So it looks like it is not not on the input, on the control. It looks like it's not the input on the control that handles this. So I assume you have to implement the functionality. And now it's showing, but it's not moving. So I think it's basically the same as it is there. Oh, I did move. Oh, it's here. So I have to understand what is going on. Well, probably the best way to see what's going on is to look into should go over to the debugger and look into the other one. There's an error here as well. Try move item, error moving. There's a problem on the try move item. So I assume it's gonna be this function. I think what happens is like you need to define these three functions on the class that you want to implement the drag and drop. And then use the macro in the constructor there. The macro is gonna bind or set up the callables on the control. Then at some point in the notification is gonna call these functions. So whatever you put here is gonna be responsible for what happens when you are dragging the node. So it's calling this function, but it's not being able to move for some reason. I had to remove a bunch of stuff because it was related to the favorites and to the resources, which I don't have on the green stuff that I have here. It's probably because of the name. Oh, this has to be the problem. So it's the same problem that I got on the other stuff. Because I changed to file system here. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be. I can check here. Yeah, it's resources. So since it's a special path, I have to use another function that is gonna create the dir access based on the path, which I forgot what it is. Hopefully it's just this, and I can move on to the other stuff. I create for path. That's the one that I'm using on the other ones. And the issue here is which one I create for. I think that should be old path. It probably doesn't matter that much. Because I think it's only gonna check for the special characters and then it's gonna select which one it creates based on that. Yeah, so it's gonna check to see if it begins with any of the special paths. If it doesn't, it creates the normal one. So I think the old path is gonna be enough. I think the problem with the new folder, the updates when you remove the folder is gonna be more annoying to fix because I can't think about a straightforward way to solve. Because if I check for the dots, then obviously it's gonna be a problem because it's not gonna be updating the directories or files that start with the dots properly. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. Fix wrong path inputs whenever folder is deleted on project. Fix wrong path inputs. This is the problem I was talking about now. Yeah, so next thing we're gonna do is look into the VS Code source code to see how they select the initial directory that they display when you select to open a folder. Because I'm curious to see. Yeah, I'm gonna see if there is. Probably I assume that there are, because I think that VS Code supports Linux and Mac probably. So there's probably code that selects the special paths. Yeah, so it supports Linux, Windows, and Mac. So I want to see from the source code how they determine, how they choose the path that they show in the beginning there. Just see if there's a standard path where they just select, they just hard code there, the path, or if there's a Windows API or the other APIs from the other OSs. And then like I have to check on the Godot source code to see if there is something similar. If there isn't, I have to think about whether to change the classes or to the OS classes or to implement outside based on the macros for each operational system. I think it's probably better to change on the class. So it's probably gonna be OS class, the one that is better to change. That's just not doing anything. At least not showing the error now. So this is another thing that like it does show the updates when I change from gear, but I think like it's only when you select or there's something weird going on, and I think that is because of the way that it updates there, but I'm not really sure. Let's see if I do this. It doesn't do anything. Oh, now it's changing. Oh, that's weird. Oh, so it depends on the way that I put there. If I put there, it doesn't change. But if I select on the square, it does. This is weird. So I'm pretty sure on the other one, it doesn't do like that. Yeah, so it's probably, it might be because there's not showing any error message. So what is the difference? Maybe it's because I removed some of the check there. I should remove this thing here. Or maybe it's one of these checks though that I'm missing. Let me check something. Also, this is another thing that. So it's probably because of the way that I'm. Hmm. It's the way that I'm updating the paths there. That's the issue. So it's not just when you delete, it's when I. Because it's still on the wrong path as well. When I move or when I do whatever. I think it's only. And now it's not moving here. Interesting. So maybe the functionality for moving is correct. It just moves when you select the actual thing. But I have to figure out this dots thing there. But it looks like this one, it also moves if you don't select correctly. But it doesn't matter that much, I think. Because it shows the other cursor there. Oh, there is a difference. I'm gonna spend some time trying to figure out. I want to understand how does it determine the bottom there. How does it select the color? I suppose should work here, I think, because it's showing. So like the problem is this condition here and the and there's something going on when you try to move. It's probably because of the way that I'm updating there. So I think here what I have to do is remove this here. Because there's also like when I create, I think when I move the folder, it's it doesn't put on the correct place as well when I create a folder or like when it changes the directory. But it's very hard to think about because the problem is how to what is the easiest way to see what is going on? Because if I just step over, I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of time, I think, on the functions because there are multiple different functions that traverse. But I think what I think is happening is there's something going on. There's a difference in the way. It's probably because of the DOS. So I think based on the way that the access traverses or creates directories, is going sometimes going to create directories with the dots, and this makes it so that the traversal on the stuff that I have is different than the one that they have because they just skip whenever you have the dots. So I think the easiest way to figure this out is to find the places where it's supposed to start with supposed to skip the dots and then just go back to doing the way that I was doing before, which is this the way that they are doing. And then see if it fix things because then I'm gonna be able to know for sure that this is the what is going on. It's editor file system. Annual directory. Yeah, so they do one dot and then that automatically skips one. So I'm gonna do that. Hmm. So I remove this as well. I think the reason why I removed this is because this is just related to the to Godot and the project. I think this is gonna be on the editor folder instead of the .godot, then slash editor, and then obviously this is the project Godot file. So just stuff related to Godot or Godot, whatever, however you want to say. Yeah, it's still different. So yours is showing on top, yours is showing in the bottom. Hmm. And still doesn't change. So I think it's not changing because it's on the same folder. So it's something to do with the path, I think. It's weird that it doesn't do anything. Well, the last time that I did this, it created a new folder with a dot name. I think the only explanation is that like it is supposed to be scanning the changes. And the question is how I'm gonna debug this. I should pick another name. It's not gonna be. It's not updating. So which one of these things I do first? I'm gonna focus on the update first. Then I'll try to see the dragging stuff. It's supposed to be calling there. It's supposed to be calling here. As far as I understand, is the same place that they put there. Maybe I should change back the root folder thing. First I'm gonna select because I know it's gonna have a thing there. So let's see if I move. Yeah. This one I copied from them and I put on the same class. Yeah, but so this is the functionality that creates the visualization. Yeah, but I think this part's probably the same because it is showing there the thing. So the drawing stuff is correct, but it's not updating properly, I think. It's not moving. So it should be on the try move item function or on the move operation, whatever. So I think it's both that on that function and on the file system, the issue. There are two issues with the file system. One is that it's not updating properly, and the other one is something to do with this other two functions. So I'm gonna remove, next time I'm gonna remove the breakpoint on this one to see if I can get the other one. I assume that the other function that I put breakpoint there, which is drop data or something like that, is the function that is gonna run after you let go of the item. Interesting. It's actually very good to know about this because obviously can just whenever I want to implement drag and drop on 2D, I can just get the same functionality from here, just use the macros there, the functions, and then just change the element, the visualization. So that function there that runs, yes, pretty sure this one. This one is the one that is going to create the whatever shows the ghost of the thing that is moving. And the other one, the first one that runs is the function that is gonna trigger the thing that runs whenever the drag starts. And the drop is probably the function that runs after. So you put whatever functionality you want on the notification for when it starts dragging. And you define this function here for whatever you want to happen before it starts running. Then you just put the other function to draw, and this one should determine what happens in the end. And then you use the macros there to, I think, register on the control class these functions here, or the data. So I think there's something related with the viewport or the other classes there that are gonna probably check on the control whether or not it has this thing set on the control based on the macro there that you run. And if you do have the functions, then it runs this stuff, I think. Hmm. I think this is the first one that runs there. Get get drag data, get drag target folder. Oh, maybe this is after. No, I think this is the first one. Maybe not actually. I think that this is checking to see whether or not it's a subdirectory from the roots. Obviously, so if the parent is the first child, then it means that the folder is on the root folder. Our folder or file is on the same level as the root, I think. But it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the first child is the favorites on their thing. Yeah, the first child is the favorite, so it's checking to see if the parent is different than the favorites. And then check to see if the path is different than the root. Yeah, 95%. So I should probably remove this check there on my. What I don't understand is the check here. So if it's different than the root, and then oh, so the F path is probably the path that is moving. So if it is the root, then you don't move. That's probably what it's doing here. And if it is a subdirectory, it removes the slash, I think, at the end. And then just puts the. It's basically getting the folder. So I think I got it. Source, classify. I'm gonna run again there. Because it got stuck, then it ran again. Because of the breakpoints. So I'm gonna remove this. So the first function that it's gonna call is this one, and then this one creates the drag data from this. So this one has to return whatever you want to show on the beginning, I think. So it does some stuff here to update the state of the control node before it creates the visualization of what's gonna happen on this function here, and then it returns this. So based on this dictionary, it's gonna get the information that it needs to, I think, to display. This is probably this function here. So this function is probably the one that creates the ghost thing there. Yeah. So it is on the viewport. The viewport creates based on, so this is whatever you want to show as the mouse is dragging. And it's setting the position based on the mouse. Yes. So just gonna press. I guess I should remove this. I think this data is the dictionary that creates there on the first function. Mm. And it's not changing. As I think it only changes if you change the folder. So what else I wanted to say? I wanted to see here. So it looks like it is stopping here. It's probably no, it's not going into here. That's the problem. So the question is, how does it work when it comes to the? Let me put it on the file system. So like it is running this every frame, but then it's not never setting the never initializing the thread. So the thread is initialized when you call scan. And I'm pretty sure that on the file system it does call the thing here, but I'm not really sure. This, so yeah, when you focus on the thing, it shows. Yeah, so that's the difference. So which one is so false, false, false. So it has to have the thread there. So I assume that it has to be something on the editor node. The thing is, I went over this a bunch of times. It could be this here. Oh, fuck. So this is the only place I think that it calls scan. And it only calls based on this variable here. But as far as I understand, it only sets this once. So I don't see how it's going to call this. So what I'm trying to figure out is how does it set the thread? because this is the one that I copied there from on my thing. The thing is, it could be from somewhere else, but I think like if I search for, maybe if I search for it, the whole thing is gonna be easier to find. I only search for the function. I'm pretty sure this is the same on the stuff that I have, so it shouldn't be this. Okay, so now let's see. It should be this thing here. I guess like, yeah, it's probably better to look into the scan here and then to put the breakpoint here and then just look at this stack. That makes more sense. Hmm, interesting. So it's initializing the trans somewhere else. And the problem, like I think if I look into this stack, it's not gonna allow me from the scan thing there. It's not gonna allow me to see. Let me put here again. Hmm. Oh, it's gonna be the other one. Yeah, here. Yeah, but I went a couple of times already here, but I'm not really sure how this works. So it is coming from the OS. What is the connection though? Yeah, so probably what I should do is look into the editor to see all the instances where it calls. I think I have to see how the singleton, yeah. So it's gonna be this pattern. Gotta take a second. I think this is only defined on the OS, but just like the obviously the file system uses a thread it initializes the thread class, but like, what is the relationship? Doesn't make sense. This callback here has to be the function there that is calling. It's basically this function, and this one is sets up on the other. So that's the reason why I thought it was because of this. So it is running this function. I didn't look for this. Sure. Oh yeah. So this is the same one that I have there, but yeah. So it has to be because of the thread. How does how does that work? Maybe it is because it's a singleton or something like that. Or maybe it's because of the way that it initializes. Oh, it might be because I'm not running any scan on this class here. I'm just running directly. So I'm gonna try to do that. So maybe when you run scan for the first time, initialize the thread. Let's see. So I'm gonna uncomment this one. But the problem is if I uncomment this, it might fuck up there. Yeah, it might be because of this. So when I call, so when you call scan for the first time, it initializes the thread, and then all the other times after that's gonna be, it don't need to. Yeah, but so like, how does it the wait to finish works? Oh, this is another one. This is very confusing. Because if this one depends on the other one, like this one depends on this other one being started. So I don't see how this is gonna be this. I guess it is gonna depends of one moment the node exits, so it's gonna be act. Both of them are gonna be working, I think. I know that join is supposed to make the thread wait for the other ones, but I don't understand how it works under the hood. So I want to search for. Yeah, so I thought that I confused, and I thought that the by calling join, the threads got destroyed. That I think it just synchronizes and then it leaves the memory of the thread there in case it is called again. So I think, but not sure if I should change this or as I want to understand what were they thinking when they did this stuff. Because I'm not really sure if I understand like why it is this way. So I think the best guess now that I have is that they did it like this so that it only scans the change after you ran the scan for the first time. So you run the scan, then that initializes the threads, then is going to let's say that you run the scan, but what happens? The scan changes can only run after the scan runs for the first time. Essentially, it doesn't matter at one moment the scan changes initialize as long as it's after the first scan. Because there isn't a point to scan the changes if you didn't scan the beginning. I think that's why they did it like this. Probably, not really sure. So I guess this is the difference here. So when you're scanning for changes, it's gonna be one of the thread sources that is running and then waits for the thread sources to stop. So like it's synchronizing based on the control flow here, I think. So this is like the endpoint of the race, I think. So like initializes the two threads depending on the state. So first you have to initialize the scan. Well, let's say you run the scan changes and then the scan changes ends before the scan, then it's gonna wait for it to finish here. And then it's gonna eventually get here and then yeah, that's so let me see on the other one if there is a so the first scan and scanning. First scan and scanning. I think probably there is. Yeah, first scan and scanning. So this should prevent them from running at the same time. So it feels kind of weird. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Sure. I'm not really sure if it's because I don't understand very well or it's because it can improve this. I think like the main difference between them is the function that runs before it scans everything. So like on the scan changes, it doesn't create a new file system directory, and on the scan, it does create the new file system. So I think that scan is supposed to run on the beginning, and then it updates, it creates the state of the root and like the structure of everything. And then after that, you call this one because this one is just going to use the existing structure to run. So I guess the wait to finish is just the so it's just checking to see if the other one was run. So I guess what I can do is a hack, but I'm not really sure. Maybe maybe it's better to, because the problem is I think that is going to complain if I uncomment the thing there because it's going to mess up the thread. This part's of the reason why I'm not really sure if I should try to change this stuff because it is giving the warning there. Like I don't know, it feels kind of wrong. Yeah. It feels there's something that I can change here, but I'm not really sure if it's worth the time. Sure, because there's a risk that I'm gonna fuck everything up, and or that I'm gonna spend too much time with this stuff, and I can, because this doesn't matter that much. It's like similar when you're developing a website and then you're contemplating whether or not you like React or whatever, and the end user doesn't give a fuck what you what you do. So like it matters, but at the same time it doesn't matter. It definitely does matter because obviously the decisions are going to impact how the thing evolves and the scalability and everything. But it doesn't matter because no one cares about the what is going on. So this is kind of the thing that I'm not really sure. That it doesn't like if because it is kind of a hack already to do this here, so it's not very good. But the problem is if I don't do it here, there's uncertainty and then it's kind of hard to synchronize with the other one. And the issue is the other one only runs after the changes on the file system doc only runs after the event is emitted from this one, and the event is only emitted after the first scan. So I think that the way that it's supposed to work is you scan the you use the scan on the file system, it initializes the thread, creates the first directory, creates the structure of the folders, and then once it reaches the process, it's going to wait for the thread to finish. It's going to pass the pointer to the original file system there, and then it's going to emit the file system change function. After the file system change function runs, it's going to run the callback function that it has on the file system doc, which is the fs change, I think. And then the fs change is going to call the update tree. I think that's. So maybe I should just call scan there and then I should remove. But the thing is, when I was doing like that, it wasn't working. Assistant. This run is gonna run the scan file system. So the question is why it wasn't working before. I'm gonna open now. So I think I'm gonna try and show comments again and comment this out again, then see what happens. Because after I load the configuration, I can call file system. If it is okay here, then it means that it worked. So I can call this scan here. Yeah, which was what I was trying to do. So like based on this, oh, but I think that the reason why it's not working is because it's connecting the signal after. So maybe that's the problem. So maybe if I run scan file system here after this thing here. And maybe this one doesn't make a lot of sense because it was for the way that they had before. So I think I should try to do this. So just comment this one out. Like it doesn't matter that much. The problem if I put this stuff on the ready, I think is all like it doesn't show the files in the beginning. So I think it doesn't matter that much if I scan here regardless of whether or not the configuration was loaded. Because here is not going to show because it's not going to change, like it's not going to make it very slow. So it doesn't matter that much. So I think that the here as well, like it doesn't matter if I do this here. I also forgot to delete the arguments there. I need to do this. And because now I'm checking inside of the function, so it doesn't matter. So I shouldn't call there as well. Shouldn't do this here. So I'm gonna test now. So what I think is supposed to happen is like I run this and then if there isn't an existing directory, you're just gonna go here, it's just gonna create a button there. So it doesn't matter what happens after, it's not gonna show. And if it loads the configuration, then it's gonna set the root folder on the file system should be the one that has on the configuration. Then when it reaches this point, it's gonna call the scan. This is gonna initialize the thread after it connects the signal here. And this is gonna be the first time. So based on the thread here, it's gonna call this and it's gonna initialize the file system directory. If this Then it's gonna scan here. So it's basically the same thing there. And then on the process is going to emit a signal. So it moves the pointer, then it waits to finish, and then it runs the signal. So after it emits the signal here, it's going to call the scan function. A fast change on the other one, just this one, and then this one is gonna update the tree. And then if that works, then it should update the, I should update the thing each time there, the scan changes, because the try is gonna be initialized, I think. So if that doesn't work, I'm gonna go over with the debugger again, try to see what is going on. I'm probably gonna try to go over directly on the game. Hmm. So it seems that it's working now. Yeah, now it is updating. Nice. Huh. But I think the path is not already uh so it is working, but the path is weird. So I think that the problem was just that. So now let me see what happens if I delete, because when I delete, I think it's still gonna. But I think it should, yeah, it should update correctly now because I removed the pointer, not the pointer, the dot. So now I'm gonna go back to. So I think the reason why it wasn't working before is just because of the order. So because I was putting everything on the post initialized notification, it wasn't calling this function here because the signal wasn't connected yet. I think that's what was going on. And this one only works after the first thread. So yeah, now I understand how it works. Nice. So I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I go back to the using the two dots here, if it's gonna fuck up as well, which I think it probably will, because I think this has to do with the way that the directory access is gonna create the paths for the files. Yeah, so this path here is gonna be based on this, which is going over the current level, I think, of each directory. So it calls this function recursively there at the end, I think. Yeah, it calls here, so it's basically doing. It's not it's depth first search, but yeah, I guess it can be considered as depth first search, but it's not really like it's going diagonally based on the loop and the recursion. Also, something that it's not that I realized recently, because I always knew that since like long time ago that recursion is just loops, but yeah, like the only thing that changes between them is the way that the label works. So it's basically the same exact same thing, but when you're using recursion, you are also putting the. I'm not 100% sure about the way that it's gonna. Yeah, but it's basically like you're just putting the arguments on the stack as well when you use recursion, and when you use a loop, you're not doing that. And then it's obviously because the scope is just the position in memory. That is, I have to study more about this as well. But they're basically both labels. The only thing that changes is the arguments and the position on the stack. So here, as far as I understand, each time that it calls this is going to be calling for the current level of the directory, and the loop here is going to be going over each folder and file on that directory. So I think that based on the way that the dir access is going to generate the paths for each one, is going to create the dots. So the question obviously is why when you remove, like you removed one place and you're supposed to have that directory there, why is it creating the dots? Yeah, like the thing that if this function wasn't running on the previously, then why? Maybe that's the reason why it was creating the other folder, because whenever I change the state from there, like because it didn't update from outside. But then how does that work? Yeah, I think that because the directory was updated outside but not on the application, when it runs again, yeah, but it's still kind of weird. Yeah, maybe it's because it tries to find. So let's say I add the folder from outside and it didn't update the states. Then I do something with the thing there that is gonna call the scan from the other one because the other one calls the scan from rescan. So I think on a bunch of different operations I was doing this. So you call the scan and update the tree. Which now I know that's probably I can comment this out as well. I think because it's just gonna call there by proxy when this one emits the signal. So I think that's one of the things that was kind of weird to me. So I guess I wasn't just understanding very well how it works because it is kind of confusing to understand. But like it's guaranteed to call the update tree always because it's gonna call the callback function there on the other one. So it is gonna update. So I think that's on that situation, it wasn't updating after something changed. So next time that you runs the scan, it's yeah. But then like, why wouldn't when it's traversing the direct? I guess it's because like I have to see if there's there's functionality to, but it should be creating a new one, I think. And so the question is, what happens when you scan and you already have I think it just creates a new one, so I'm not really sure what was going on there. It's just gonna generate a new one and it's going to go over the same thing here. I'm not really sure if I understand what's going on. I was gonna so I'm gonna test the last thing I'm gonna do today is test to see. So I'm pretty sure did I change everything? So I'm gonna see if it's gonna work after I comment the other update tree call here. And probably what I'm gonna do right now as well is to so maybe I'm probably gonna do this upstream right after I stop streaming. I'm gonna remove the arguments from the update tree, and then I'm gonna if I need later because of the search, I'm gonna make it based on a member variable of the class, I think. So I think this one is just to save the state. So if there isn't any searches, just go back to the way that it was before, I think. Yeah, so because this is determining the uncollapse, so I think it updates the tree based on the whatever the search is. So if there isn't search, it saves the collapse paths here, and so that it can go back to the way that it was before once you remove the search. And if there is search, it just updates with uh, no uncollapsed paths here. But I'm pretty sure I can change this. Like I can just make based on the inside of the function and then just remove the arguments. I think this thing already answered basically. So just save. So the more secure way to save the uh, from what I've seen, what is recommended to like if you're gonna save game state or stuff like that, stuff related to players or stuff like that, you're supposed to use JSON because JSON is more secure because it sanitizes the inputs. But for stuff that is not that doesn't matter that much, then you can use the user and just save with the config file, which is the stuff that I'm doing now. So it's the .config file. And Godot has you're gonna be able to find the JSON class there if you look. And then I haven't looked into it, but obviously I assume that you can just call, yeah, so I can call a function from the, just create, basically like this probably. So it just creates the JSON class and then you call parse and probably call another function to load, and then you can use there is a format, a saver, I think. I think it's on the register core types. Yeah, this one. So I'm pretty sure, I don't understand very well how it works out, but like basically the saver, which is the function that is responsible for saving, like it says, is going to call save from an array. And this is the part I'm not 100% sure because I don't understand very well how the array is going to be, at one moment the array is going to be initialized. But I know that they're going to put a bunch of savers on that array, and then it's going to choose which saver to use based on the type you are saving, I think. So there's all the savers here. I think for the default for scenes is probably the binary, which also saves on text, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think when you call save, one of this resource saver save, the function, yeah, is resource saver save, the function that is used to save. Then, and you pass the JSON file is gonna use this resource format JSON to save. And I'm pretty sure that that's what's gonna happen. So it's just gonna call this function here, and then it's gonna use file access to write to the file. So it opens the file like this with write, and then it writes to the file based on this probably. So the source is gonna be what gets written. Yeah, so this probably parses to text. So this is more secure than using config because it gets harder to inject code that is gonna hijack everything. Because JSON enforces the rules. But I still think that it's not perfect, so probably this function is the one that I've seen people recommend. Is string file. And then there's also an option to encrypt, I think, on the config file. But I don't think I'm gonna do this now for this stuff because I don't see. I don't think it's. dangerous. So maybe in the future I'm gonna change my mind and do something this. It's also kind of weird that the order here is different, but I don't think that maybe it does matter. But I think here is probably fine because things should be on the correct order. So let's see what happens if I delete here. Yeah, it still has here. Hmm. So what is going on? Cannot change. Huh. Let's see, cannot change. Cannot change. Sure. Oh, it's because of the selection, I think. Hmm. Yeah, so this is weird. So the question obviously is why isn't it removing? So it has to do it has to have something to do with the actions, I think. Maybe it's because of so this is the thing. It's like how does it determine the name of the file? Oh, it's because of this thing here, I think. I don't remember if I have this. What I do remember is the thing is I don't remember if I changed something. I removed a bunch of stuff that I thought I wasn't gonna need, but I don't remember. But what? So it looks like it is here. So what is going on? Let me see. So I'm gonna put the breakpoints here. It's already answered. So I'm gonna put on the other one just what happens when I remove from the application. I think I understand what is going on. So initialize everything. So this is basically the flag that is going to determine whether or not you have to add or remove something. So you check to see if it gets the current one, is going to check to see if the file exists on the directory based on this. So if it doesn't exist, which is the -1, it means that is a new directory that was added. So it creates a new one, initializes, and then calls scanUdir for the new directory. It might be because of this. No, but it is, I think this is, so the problem is both when I remove and when I add directories, I think. So, yeah, maybe it's not because of this. So, after it does that, it creates this action and then puts this on scan actions. And then scan actions is gonna be used on update scan actions. So it's gonna loop over the actions that it has on scan actions. Just a member variable, I think. And then based on whatever the action is, it's gonna do stuff. So if it isn't, if it is already part, then it puts verified equals to true. So this means that if there is a one that is false, it means that it isn't part of the directory anymore, because it's looping over based on this here, which is just navigating to the path, from the root of the scanf changes. So later on, it's gonna loop again to see if there is anyone that is false, and if there is, then it's going to remove. Just basically here. So if it is false, this is gonna be true. Oh, in this check to see if you went over the thing here. So let's see. This is also weird that it uncollapses this one when I add the new one. I think it's supposed to uncollapse the new one. No, but that doesn't make any sense. It's something to do with the path, I think. That when I add here, it hooks up there. So now let me remove. Just oh, I can't remove from here. So I'm gonna have to see based on that. I didn't put the remove here because the option to remove there requires keywords, and that's something that I'm gonna do later probably. Because the way that they put the keywords is based on a macro, I think. Either a macro or I think it is a macro. And the macro is gonna call the ref shortcut, I think, class, which is the one that is used to do the key bindings. So that one is relative to the is yeah is related to the editor, so I can't use that one. So I'm probably gonna see how they do it and then just copy as much as I can. Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna put a breakpoint on the ads there. So I already have here. So it means that this is not. Let me put one here. Just say. Hmm. What is going on? Oh, is this one that is not? Oh, maybe I didn't. I think I opened directly. Yeah, I didn't open the debugger. Yeah. So I'm gonna go over the debugger. So maybe I don't think it's related to the dots. It's not updating properly. So let me see the actions. Because it doesn't call update scan actions here. I think it calls on the process. Yeah, so after it runs this function, it's gonna wait to finish on the process. Now waits for the trial to finish, and then it calls this one, which is gonna update, and then it emits the signal. Also, it's saving the new directory here. For sure. So this is just gonna push to the subdirectories. So I don't think it matters that much. Parents, subdirs, arrays. Hmm. So yeah, should put the breakpoints here as well. Actually, it's on the other one. Already have here. So let me see the file system. So the first thing that I want to see is why it doesn't. Why isn't it updating when I change from the editor? So it should update on the application. I'm not sure. What's here? Uh, let's see. It's kind of weird as well. So I'm gonna try to delete from there and see what happens on the other one. So this is still on the editor file system. Editor file system. Yeah, so this is the weird thing. So why isn't it running on this one? So maybe it's because of the focus. Hmm. So cannot change. Oh, so let me. The thing is both the weird. There's like two weird things. One is that it only runs the scan changes when I select the editor. And I think like it's because the editor is running the process for the application. So the notification application focus is only gonna run when I select the editor. But the other weird thing is I think that it is trying to it's trying to change to a directory that doesn't exist when it scans here. So after it deletes the directory, it tries to scan there on the other function, I think. So I'm gonna try that again, just to see what happens. But maybe that, so it's probably better to close and then open again. Hmm. So maybe it's when it's calling recursively. Yeah, so it doesn't catch for whatever reason and then calls the function recursively and then tries to change here. Tries to change here to the path. Which is gonna be the How's that? How does that work on the other one? So this happens when you remove. So this is gonna be. So what it should be happening is that it runs this thing, it goes here because it doesn't exist. The directory doesn't exist. Then it loops over here. But like, because it should be giving the error regardless. And so it should test on the other way around. Just see what happens. Yeah, the problem is that I can't test it the other way around because I don't have the delete functionality. But I don't understand, like if it's gonna call the function recursively anyway, it's not gonna have. But I guess it calls recursively based on the new state of the directory. Hmm. Let's see again. Yeah, no. That's, I think he's gonna run the other one probably. Yeah, so just gonna create. Yeah, now it runs the other one. So it's only gonna run when, so like, let's say you have two processes, so you open the application two times. It only runs when you select the first one. Which I'm not sure if it's very good, but obviously it's very easy to change. Just changing the place you put the scan changes. But I think that the issue with putting on the process is that you don't want to run each time. So there is a timer that they use. So there's a class called timer, which works basically like a timer. So you can put the whatever interval you want on the class, and then you can put a callback function, which is called timeout, I think. And then you can determine whether or not it's only gonna run once or it's gonna keep running. So I think another way to do it is just by using the timeout, which they do use on the editor node, but they put one shots. So I guess I can try to do that as well instead of updating there. Just put the timeouts and then uncomment them one shot and then put an interval of whatever. But then obviously the downside of that is that if you minimize the application, the thing's gonna run anyway. So hmm. Oh, so this is the issue. Hmm. Interesting. So you can't. It shows the error there because you try to change to this directory because of the dots. Well, why would the current be the... Because this is when it calls recursively there, I think. Mm. Also, I guess what I can do is f begins with just put this patterns down because then it allows me to. But it's still gonna allow me to, I think, it's still gonna allow me to see folders that start with the dots because I think that it only gets the current folder based on this pattern. So yeah, but then the issue is like it doesn't begin with the. So I guess I have to see how does this work? Because the thing is, like this is how it's saved before, I think. Mm. Yeah, I don't think that it. It's just gonna add to the directory when it updates the actions. So I think it doesn't call recursively to the new directory. So it means that this path here existed before, which is kind of weird. Because how is that happening? So like it should be from the subfolder. So it has to be when I add the folder from outside there, I think. There's something going on with that. I'm not sure. So the problem is I'm not gonna be able to see until around. Maybe now all the paths are gonna be messed up. Yeah. No, it didn't show anything here though. No, but it didn't add the folder here. So it's adding the wrong paths to the class, but it's not. It doesn't show anything here. So let me see what happens when I delete. Yeah, so from the parent to the current one is going to erase from the subdirectories and then it just deletes the folder because it saves here. So it uses this function so that's like you can like get a snapshots of the stuff that changed and then it removes here. Because if you removed right away, then it would fuck up the recursive function there. Because it would change the function obviously. Let's see if it's gonna run here. So why is it creating from path? Yeah, it's the no. So each time there is a change, it's adding another dot there. I think it's because when it gets to next here, it's gonna guess the dots, I think. But it is kind of weird because I don't. So probably not today, but sometime I'm gonna spend. Some other day I'm gonna spend some time going over the functions here. I have to, but I wanna close all the files so that it's not like uh, noisy, and because this is like the same with all the other classes. It's a base class, so I want to open the folder that has the derived classes and then look into each one to see the differences in the OS, and also to I'm gonna step into and step over, but I'm gonna do this another time, I think. Probably, yeah, probably right after I solve this, right after I solve this stuff now, uh, and then I get to the next step, which is to go over to study VS Code to see how they decide to show, like how do they get the path that they're gonna show in the beginning there. Once I do that, then I should probably spend a bunch of time going over the OS class and the data access class and the file access class because those are the three classes that are used a lot, and it's basically all the classes that are gonna manage everything related to the operational system and to file systems. So I wanna clarify everything and then see if I need to add other functions as well. I'm basically gonna try to get a snapshots of how VS Code does things and then transfer that into Godot if already doesn't exist. I think that's probably the best thing to do, but only when it comes to the standard path, the initial paths. And I guess they probably have something on the documentation as well, but I'm gonna look into this first, and then if I can't find anything, which I probably will find. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna find because it shouldn't be that hard. And then maybe I'll look into the documentation later as well. Nice. Just gonna go quickly here. So what I have to do is just go over because they're gonna use functions that are from the Windows API. Already went a bunch of not a bunch of times, but sometimes I step into this. So like probably at some point I'm just gonna write search the yeah I'm gonna go over the functions and step into and then write the files, write the name of the functions and then just read the documentation. And then try to understand this call data as well. But for the call data and the string, I think I'm going to study them, trying to study them by putting them on God boats or some of the compilers that they have there. You have it open. And probably this compiler here to study assembly at the same time, if I can. Because the problem is if they use a bunch of other stuff, then obviously I'm not going to be able to put here. But I think I'm going to try to like find if there are functions there that don't require a bunch of other stuff, I'm going to put them here and then I'm going to study assembly and the functions at the same time. That's probably a good idea. So I'm just gonna step over for now. Also, it does look like it is stopping there. New folder. Hmm. So the problem is the parent, I think. Yeah, this is the issue. So what is happening is that it's creating like ghost directories that don't show on the tree there. And then when it tries to delete, it doesn't find the parent because it doesn't exist. Or it finds the parent, but it's the wrong one, I think. Yeah, but it should be deleting anyway, I think. Should be deleting the memory. Yeah, but it's definitely the dots that is messing up there. So here you should be deleting the folder anyway. This part is the one that is wrong because it gets the wrong parent because it created one that doesn't make sense. It is also weird that I guess only goes here once. So how is that possible? Because it should be segmentation faults. But maybe it creates more than one. And it could be the case that creates more than one because of the wrong paths. Not really sure. It's also weird that it doesn't show the... I guess it doesn't show because... No, but it should create... It should create a tree item anyway. So I don't understand very well why it's not showing the paths. Like the dots slash. Maybe if I try to search like this. Why it doesn't show here? If it's creating there. But it does look like it removed the thing. So I'm gonna stop streaming now. It's probably the dot there is gonna... The other pattern is gonna solve, I think. The pattern. And... Yeah, so probably next time that I stream, I'm going to go over VS Code's stars code and then try to understand how they select the default path for opening a folder. Then I'm going to spend a bunch of time studying the OS and the access and the file access functions or classes from Godot. And if they don't have the functionality already, then I'm gonna probably implement. And I'm just gonna copy. I'm gonna follow the same way that they do the other ones. Should they basically have on the project settings and I think OS as well. They have some paths they hard code, I think. So I'm probably gonna try to follow the same thing and then read the documentation on the different operational systems to see if there is something related to this. Because I don't want to select a random path or hard code unless it's like the only option. I think it's better to use something that they provide on the API because that way then obviously is always gonna find that path. So what I'm looking for is the first path. When there isn't any configuration, when you click the button to open a folder, what path I'm gonna display there. and that I can select that based on the file dialog. File dialog class has a function that you can call to set whatever path you want to show in the beginning. Then after I do this, then I'm going to move on to the other docs. So it's going to be the IDE doc and the debugger, but probably the terminal. I think I'm going to do both actually, because the other thing is that I realize is that if you have a GDScript file here and you double click, it's going to open the GDScript, I think. So probably what I'm going to do is spend a bunch of time studying this pipeline to see how it works. Because these functions related to GDScript, I removed all of them from the other class. And obviously because I'm gonna do it different, but I'm gonna probably do the same functionality that they do. So I'm gonna probably have to implement like the same functions, but I'm gonna implement them different. Because obviously I want to open the files on the like IDE, which is the other doc that I'm gonna put there. So I'm gonna have to see how to synchronize, because the problem is but I guess it's basically the same thing that they are doing, because the file system doc is separated from the whatever class is gonna update its state. So I assume that they're probably doing based on signals. So these functions here probably emit a signal after you double click the file, and then it's gonna, I'm pretty sure that the thing that creates the GDScript part there is a plugin that is initialized on that editor node. So assume what happens is that the file system doc is going to emit a signal, and then this other plugin class is going to open, or it's going to change the state based on the signal. I'm probably going to do something similar. So I'm going to study the pipeline that they use and then try to do the same thing there. Then once I have the 3 docs, then I'm going to, or maybe as I develop the 3 docs, I'm going to incorporate them on the scene there that I have. Because the goal is to have like the same. So have the file system, we double click, then it opens the tabs the way that it is here. And also the debug functionality that I have as well on the GDScript. But then I'm gonna have to study a lot more on the OS classes and the other stuff to see how to implement the debuggers. I'm gonna remove for now. So this is what I wanted to see. The double clicked there. I want to figure out what is the difference when you double click. So now it is opening there. Because when you only select, then it goes to the function there that it usually goes. But I'm not really sure on how they differentiate between the one click to select and the double click to open the file. So this is what I have to figure out. Probably gonna go over the tooltip, or like search for tooltips or information like this stuff here to find the class responsible for creating this stuff. Then search for signals on this one, like search for the same signals basically, because that's probably how they connect both of them. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. So next time I'm probably gonna study VS Code and the OS and DR access and file access classes from Godot. So see you next time.